I'm going to just tell a story. I wanted to like do the history of influencer marketing, the evolution of where it is today from like, doing research. And then I realized if I just tell my story, the last 10 years, I've been in it and in and out, I've been in it in such a weird way, ebbs and flows, that I'm just going to tell my story. And you're going to see how it correlates to what we've now discovered and where I think it is today and what we're going to talk about later. So back in the day, pre-social media, this is how brands engaged with people. This Michael Jordan, 1988 Air Jordans. I remember where I was when I first saw those things in 4th grade. Back then, Michael Jordan didn't have a channel of his own. He didn't own a channel. He had to have Nike and interviews and commercials to get the word out there. 25 years later, I had a little company making iPad enclosures. My first foray in entrepreneurship. I sell these things all over to like retail and stuff, but we're doing okay, not great. It was hard. It's hardware. It's hard to sell this stuff and make margins. This guy buys them. You've seen him before. I didn't know it until a tweet goes out, and I see him with this photo, making it look like he's showing off not the shoes, but his product, or my product in his store in Miami. This led to my first experience with what the power of free influencer marketing could be. We took this and appropriated it, put it on our main page, and we even like made a quote what LeBron said, like LeBron loves iPad enclosures and Armor Active. It was total. I should have been sued. I would have lost everything, but they never found it. And I went on, and that company went on to this millions of dollars from this very thing that happened here. The New York Times covered it. All these other things covered our little company, and it was from this. So I got a taste of it. That was my first thing. It's very different from Michael Jordan. LeBron had his own channel, so think about that. He has Twitter and other stuff. Things have changed now. There's everyone's their own media company. That was one thing I learned there. I tried to do an app. This app failed miserably. It did well in like ranking and a million downloads, but I didn't know how to monetize it. But what I learned when my partner went and paid in 2012 this little app called Instagram. She went and paid $20 to these people with 100,000 followers. Got us all these downloads. I was beating Tinder at one point. In fact, because I was so high in the App Store, I got a call from another big app saying, can you help us do that same thing? In 2012, it was all about reach. That's all people cared about. It wasn't about engagement. So it was just blast your stuff out there. My app didn't do well, but the company we started and the apps that we promoted became, the company called Bumble. We had lots of apps that we did stuff, iTunes. So we made a company that was all around influencer marketing. And in these days, it was just, I hate to say it, but it was dirty. You were just paying people and trying to get your word out there. You didn't care about their audience. You didn't care about their engagement. You didn't care about how on brand they were. But at the time in 2013, everybody ate this up. In fact, so much so that Disney bought that company in 2014. Or 15, 14, and they had just bought a YouTube company called Maker Studios. They combined us with that. We were doing all the Instagram, Vine, Snapchat stuff of the day. And I was out there. Now I'm in the heart. Go to LA. I'm in the heart of this influencer marketing world. There we go. And this is a little follow-up from yesterday. So Shonduras probably told you guys how he got a free car, all that stuff. That was my doing, and I'm not proud of it. Let me tell you why. We paid $250,000. So here's the problem. Subaru comes to me and says, we want influencers that own our cars, that own the WRX, and love us, have tons of brand affinity, and have a big following and love outdoors. We're like, great, I can do the outdoors, I can do the big followers, because we're an agency inside of Disney that we're helping brands kind of meet these influencers. But I don't know who owns your cars. I mean, that's kind of your data. So what did we end up doing? We bought Devin Supertramp, Shonduras, and Zach King. We bought them cars. And look at what this campaign says. Subaru USA, meet an owner of 2 days. Like this guy got a car, posted about it, and I love him to death. He did a good job. I'm wearing his hat right now, Space Station. Look, I'm a fan of stuff he does. But this felt bad. This felt like it's not going to last. Like we're going to buy people cars and have them talk about it as if they're owners for a whole of 2 days, and then he's going to go back to his other car that he loves. We saw this time and time again at Disney, switching people off Verizon to Sprint for a campaign. And I'm just like, and I'm sitting here as a VP of product saying, something's got to change because I don't think this is going to sustain. And it hasn't. You're seeing a lot of things change. So look at this little chart here. What I participated in was this mercenary business. This is hiring people that don't care about your brand. They're going to take your money, talk about it, and leave. And this is mainly how it's been for quite a while. It still exists. It's expensive, it's impersonal, it's inauthentic. And some of these divas are hard to work with, honestly. But I'm not going to go into Wooly what we do, but I want to show you kind of the philosophy. Start with the very center, your customer that you already own. Start with people who are already reaching out that want to collaborate with you. Fans who are already following you on social media, followers, whatever. This is the long tail that people don't realize they have. They go and pay agencies to work with big influencers when they already have customers. Subaru already had customers who loved their brand and own these cars. Start in the middle with your customers and go outward from there. They're authentic, they're committed, they're a lot more affordable, often free, much easier to engage with. Oh, whoops, that's a laser pointer. Okay, here we go. So I left Disney, came back to Utah. I did a presentation just like this at some marketing event. I was in the very beginning of trying to figure out what software I was going to make and how it was going to work. I presented SLC, SCM or something. Purple was in the crowd. In fact, where's Jesse? See here? I don't see him. He was in the crowd. He comes up to me. We got a chat. We go in and said, let's test this theory with Purple. Let's see if we can take Purple's customers and avoid them going out and paying a big agency. They were about to do it. They were about to go pay millions of dollars to hire Sean and What's Inside and all these influencers. It would have worked. They would have got some numbers, but it would have cost them. We went instead and looked at all their customers and found out who was influential. We have software that does this. We reverse kind of look up. We turned the model on its head, and we found Tim Cook of Apple. We found goalies of hockey teams, soccer players, people who have big bands, and little people who have little blogs about their love for mattress and sleep and stuff, whatever. Like, we found them all. And we reached out to them. We didn't pay anybody. Nobody asked for money. They already were sleeping on the bed a lot of the times. Or they were already reaching out to Purple saying, I want one of your mattresses really bad. And we got the mattresses, the cost of the mattress to the people, and asked them to post, tell this story. They got like millions of dollars of earned media value, much like Lucid Chart, as you saw yesterday, millions of dollars in earned media value that they just used with product. They were like behind everybody. Casper, Tough to Needle, all of them as being talked about. We moved them to the number one talked about brand in the mattress in a box space. And so the theory, this hypothesis worked. We figured out how to do it with ambassadors and with your own community, and that changed everything. So this is crazy. This is what I just can't get over. Today, all of you have customers. Like in the old days, the brand was the voice, Nike and Jordan or whatever. And every customer had like the chance of having word of mouth, like telling a few friends. Today, these customers that you have with your companies are bigger than you are, than your reach. That's never happened until the last 10 years, that you're actually selling your products to potential media companies, individuals who have millions of followers or 2,000 followers with very rich content that they make and an audience. So that's what's happening today, is that your employees, your customers, fans and followers, they now have the media presence. They're now the voice, and the brand is the little part of there. So we just did that yesterday to kind of demonstrate how this has changed. This happened. So this Cody guy got me into Qualtrics, and I saw him there, and I got to know him into their event they just did. And then he posted this after the event. Look at what happened here. 2 million views. It's still going, so he's probably at 2.2 million views. If Qualtrics wanted to buy this type of impressions on LinkedIn, they would have had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. He just talked about love his company, Obama, stuff like that. He's an internal employee with 2,000 followers on LinkedIn. So if you're in B2B and you want to figure out how to reach people, influencers aren't even who you think they are. They're your employees now. They're anybody, right? This is insanity. This is going on right now. This post, you go find it, and it's going viral. He talked to Ryan Smith the other day, and they're trying to figure out, what do we do now that we have an employee who's outdoing our entire social media team, that that 100,000 followers that we have combined, he just outreached everybody. So they're trying to figure that out. That was 3 days ago. So the question I have is with me, I'm a goofball, I've already said it, so these Facebook profiles a little creepy if you look at my photos, but the question I have is, am I an influencer? I did this, I have 900 followers. What can I do with 900 followers? You have a lot of customers who have 900 followers out there. Pretty much everyone in this room has 900 combined followers on Facebook, Instagram, and everything else. Well, I went and I bought a car the other day because, well, unfortunately, Bitcoin was a lot higher, so I thought I had a lot more money. Bought a Tesla. Probably shouldn't have done it in retrospect, where Bitcoin is now, but here's this car I get, and I found out they have an ambassador program where I can share my link and get gifts. I'm like, I'm going to town. I'm going to get everything Tesla has to offer. I'm going to go buy a website. I'm going to go make content. I'm going to be on their marketing team. And I did. I went and bought Tesla Dad, shared it on Facebook. I went down to Vegas to go to CES, and I did something really stupid. I put in autopilot. I hopped in the back seat, and I recorded myself getting self-driven. And it's a really dumb thing to do. It doesn't exist anymore because if they found it, they would take away my self-driving privileges and probably my car. But the people that saw that live loved it, and it got shared. I sold, like, in a week of having that car, I sold 4 or 5 Teslas. That's like, and then now it's been like up in 8. And they took away the referral program, but that's millions of dollars of cars for 900 followers. They need to know about me. Like, I got all these little mini Teslas. That's my daughter there, standing in her diaper looking at their neighbor kids that took over her whips, and she's mad. But yeah, they gave me tires, they gave me a Powerwall. If I had got 50, I would have got a Tesla Roadster for free. And there's people in Utah that got that. They turned me into an ambassador, an influencer, because of that program that they had that made me want to be part of their marketing team. Susan here in town, she was going to be here, couldn't make it. Taxes came up on her, and she had to run the bank. She told me, but I was going to have her kind of tell her story. Her best influencer is 2,000 followers. The people that are most engaged, that have moved more products with codes, are the smallest. She's never given away a single product paid. She's given away tons of product away. She's never paid an influencer, and they have celebrities and everything else. But the best has been these small, micro, nano influencers. So what I'm trying to show here today is that I have evolved from when it was all about reach, it was all about macro, big, celebrity, and today it's everyone in this room. Influencer marketing is turning into ambassador marketing, and it's everybody. And it's just having the tools and the know-how to activate your audiences and your customers. Paying random influencers it's going to be expensive, or it can be seen as an expense. Creating ambassadors is an asset. And if anything you take a photo of, take it of this. This is how we have seen it in the 10 years I've been at it. The old model was mega, follower count, big campaigns, agencies and networks, one-time transactions, vanity metrics. Today, it is about these micro, nano, fit engagement, content, always-on programs, branded-owned relationships. That, you know, if you're a brand, own these relationships with your customers and influencers. Don't hand that off to an agency. That's your most intimate job that you could be doing. Ongoing relationships, community impact, and relationships versus vanity. So that's all I really have. I'm going to bring up a panel of people that I've worked with over the years, and they are behind this. They understand. It's different. Like what you saw yesterday with Sean Durst is one side of it. I wanted to kind of cap it off with the small, the free programs, something that everybody can do here, whether you're a B2B SaaS company or you're a small startup. We're going to talk with these, we're going to have these people on the panelists. I'm going to introduce you real quickly. Anna McFarland will be up here. She's coaching brands, teaching people how to do it, and she also has some amazing channels that she has influence on. I was going to show this video, but I'm not going today. Oh, sorry, Blaine, I left your, skip this. We're skipping this. Bryson, one of up in Ogden, there's a company called Armor. Have you guys heard of it? Anybody here? Well, you've heard of the brands that Armor has. Global brand that has amazing brands that are run out of here in Utah. Their social media, their ambassador programs. We're going to talk to him. He's going to tell us some secrets of how they do it. They don't use influencers. They use customers. They use people who love the products that they make. And then we have Paige, who works with me at Disney, content creator. She ran so many campaigns, it's silly. Was very instrumental in the success we had at Purple. And also, yeah, herself as a creator, and very much on the more micro influencer, but very high engagement. So I want you to be able to ask these questions to these people. I put my phone number up here. Text me your name, the question, and who you want me to ask it to. I have my own questions, but we're going to roll. So let's get the panel going. How did I do with time? Perfect. do text me because I've got gifts to give out to the best. All right, there we go. Let's go find some questions. First of all, do any of you guys just want to quick anything, talk about, just quick intro, like 30 seconds each, real fast, so they can hear your voice while I find these questions?
I'm Anna. I've been doing marketing for 20 years and social media marketing for about 5 years. So I love all of marketing, and I love Seth Godin.
Hi, I'm Paige. Like Scott said, I run my own little brand on Instagram, but I've worked with Scott for close to 5 years. I worked with him on the agency side at Disney running influencer marketing campaigns, and moved back with him to Utah to work on Wooly, and now I'm here with him and trying to create my own brand and help all of you.
And I'm Bryson. I run digital marketing for our portfolio of brands, and we use Scott's platform as a way to sort of manage our relationships with our athletes, our ambassadors, our influencers, kind of run the whole gamut there. And I try to ski as many days as I can a year.
Awesome. What of those brands I showed, which ones are you most involved with, or all of them?
So I used to be the brand manager for Suunto, which makes GPS watches, sort of a competitor with Garmin. And then most of my day-to-day is spent on Salomon, which is alpine skis, trail running, mountaineering, and Wilson Sporting Goods. So think the NFL game ball, Serena Williams tennis racket, that sort of thing.
Cool. Paige, let me start with you real fast, because I've known you the longest. Tell me about what you have seen have changed, like with your relationships with brands from 5 years ago till today. Like, what has changed? How have the brands changed? And you just did a big MGM integration or content just last week, right? Or
Yes, yeah.
what's changing from what we used to do till now?
I think that the biggest change, and I'm hoping that brands see this, is instead of looking at the followers on someone's account, you look at the engagement. As from an agency side, a brand side, an influencer side, engagement is the #1 key, and I think that is what is changing. Yep. You'll see brands using more of the micro-influencers because the engagement is much higher than someone that may have 100,000 followers and whatnot. So I think as of now, that's the biggest change.
I'm actually showing your last one here because I chose that. Funny caption, mirror in my hand. Do you think duck face pic will bring me a man? It's pretty good. That got a lot of engagement. For 40,000 followers to have that many likes, that's like in the 30%, right? I don't know my math, but that's what Disney and now we look at. It's like, are these people reaching an audience, a true audience, or is it just these bots and stuff? And that's, so if you're out there looking at any platform, look at that. Look for that engagement. If you need help on how you calculate that, it's a big tell-all. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I even go one step further. Engagement's good, but you can still buy engagement.
That's true.
So I look at impressions and reach, because so far you can't buy impressions. And stories, if people are using the stories, the people who are really engaged with, that's on Instagram, people that are really engaged with that product are watching the stories as well. And so that's usually the goal for me.
Keep going on stories, actually. Tell us about how stories have changed from not existing a few years ago to being. I've heard lately that stories are the number, like now brands want stories, not even the post and video.
Stories is awesome because the CPM, the cost per mil that you have to pay someone is way lower, but the good reach is higher because you're getting their most connected fans and the people who will swipe up, the people who will push on a sticker, the people who will push on a tag. And stories are now where people go first, and people watch 30% of their time on Instagram is first to stories.
Yep.
So it's a highly engaged space, and most of us are there because it's also a really lazy space because we don't have to do anything. We just let it happen to us, and then if we're annoyed, we swipe, but we don't have to do anything. So it's a really...
That's
Can
awesome.
I add to that?
Yeah.
It's also amazing because in captions and all of that, you can't put, well, you can put a link in your caption, but it's not clickable. So the stories give you an opportunity to sell more.
Yeah, to link out.
Yeah, easier to link out. And also it's a good way to show your followers who you are. So if someone comes to my page, they think that I'm maybe more serious, unless they read my captions. But my stories, it gives me the opportunity to share how I don't know, laid back and silly that I can be.
Perfect. Did anyone see the news yesterday from Instagram? Raise your hand if you did. What is it, Jake?
You can now buy right from posts.
They are making it so you can buy in the post. It's good for some people. It makes other people losers, but they are going to become an e-commerce platform, essentially. It's a little Shopify mobile app, essentially. Big one. I've got some here that I'm going to read off pretty soon that you guys are sending me, so thank you. But let me go real fast to Bryson and just tell us Amer's approach to influencer marketing. You guys see it all. You have all the options. Every agency, everybody, every software is coming to you. How do you go through this and prioritize and figure out how you're going to run your program for these global, for every country you're in?
Yeah, so we come at this from a slightly different approach. We've been doing sports marketing, athlete marketing for 100 years now. So in the past, it was basically, we want the right tennis coach using our tennis racket. We want the right skier on our skis. So we would just give out free product and kind of hope for the best. And we now have an opportunity to actually start to track and measure that, which we haven't in the past because it's just been so spread out. So when we're looking at the KPIs for our programs, it's really just about, are these people even participating? Are they even engaged with our brand and product? Because that's really the biggest indicator for us. We work with a lot of micro influencers and nano influencers. Where I'm talking like the baseball coach of your son's team, because he holds the purchase power of 40 moms who need to buy new bats, new gloves, new uniforms that year. So that's like what the backbone of our business is sort of built on that to a large extent. So it's really just about making sure that we have people who really believe in the product and are engaged with the product, which has kind of always been there, but now we have a way to see, are they actually like taking that and activating around it in digital channels as well.
You actually answered John Parks from ClickFunnels. He was going to ask that very question of relationship with micro nano influencers. Are they paid?
No, I mean, even our paid athletes, so if you think of, again, like Serena Williams or Roger Federer, two of the greatest athletes right now in the world, we pay them a fraction of what their other sponsors pay them because they've been using our rackets since they were kids. And it's the same thing for, Olympic ski racers. We don't have to pay much to be on that podium when they're getting their gold medal because what else are they going to ski on? So there's a few that get paid, but it's pretty minimal, and we have a lot that actually pay us. We give them a 50% off discount code to buy new skis, and they're paying us for the chance to work with us, essentially.
That's awesome. Perfect. Guys, the questions are awesome. I want to get to all of these that are coming in. For Anna and Paige, do you report anything back to the brands stat-wise, or do you let them take care of measuring your attribution success to the campaign?
I report. I recently did a collaboration this past weekend, and brands usually ask for screenshots of your views, your impressions, and so technically, usually always the influencer will report to the brand.
And I do, but I always suggest brands have a small contract, something before, so that the influencer understands that you want a report back, so that they know to take the screenshot. Because a lot of times it'll come a week later, or someone will say, "Did you have a chance to see?" And so if there's a small contract at the beginning, and the influencer says, "Yes, I will give that to you," and the brand says, "We will give this to you," then there's no question, and you get
Also,
it.
with a contract that could possibly weed out those who are paying for their impressions, or not their impressions, their engagement.
Oh, okay. You just kind of stayed in there, like if we catch you, what?
Well, because they probably don't want to screenshot their
Oh.
stats because their impressions are going to be super
Oh, I
low.
see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I agree. I find that people who won't sign a contract are probably people you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
Interesting. Dang, so many good ones here. Kelton from Stukent up in Idaho, right? Where are you, Kelton? Right. Awesome. Is there any low-hanging fruit? I'm going to kind of rephrase this thing, saying what platform and strategy in your experience has the most impact? Is there something right now that's a platform? We're talking heavy on Instagram. Maybe this one's for you. Do you guys have a preference on platform that people talk on? Is there one that you feel like there's just low-hanging fruit right now where organic views are just given away?
No, I mean, we try to be as platform agnostic as we can in these programs. Yes, Instagram is pretty heavy right now, but again, going back to this idea that we work with a lot of coaches who don't even really have a platform or a voice. What we focus more on is what's the story that we can tell together with this ambassador, and if they don't have a platform to tell it, we'll use our channels to tell it if it's compelling enough. And there, especially in the sports world, there are so many of those types of stories of people overcoming difficulties or just balancing life, and they're very human interest stories. So if they don't have the channel to tell it, then we'll find the right channel for them.
I also think it depends on the kind of content you're wanting to push out. So if you are trying to push video, I feel like Facebook is probably the best way to go. Maybe even LinkedIn, that we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the type of content.
Okay. Obviously, for some people, it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Creators there seem to be much bigger and much more of an engagement. Have to work on that stuff. This is interesting, probably again for all of you. How do you scale? Like, these people could reach out to you individually and try to work, one-to-one. They've met you, they've seen you. How does a brand that really wants to scale this type of marketing? It's not like Facebook ad buying. You can't just click a button and then watch it infinitely scale. But maybe you can. So I don't know who wrote this one, but how do you scale, get more ambassadors, or just do more with ambassadors you already work with? Is there any secrets to scale?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I really get to speak to that because we operate in 34 countries and we have 50 people across the globe who do this as their job. But I would say, again, what our opportunity is shifting from like this traditional athlete sports marketing program to working with online ambassadors. That's where the scale really happens. That's why we have a number of tools we use, Wooly being one of them, where we can just manage all these people in one system. We can report it all in one system. We can share calls to action and campaigns and new initiatives with them in one easy way. The way that we scaled that before is we had 40 people sending emails and putting it in spreadsheets. So there's definitely a lot of tools out there to help with that.
Hashtag sponsored, right?
I think ambassador programs can scale if they're very clear, right? Like if there's a really clear ask and a really clear product or a payout or whatever that is, then it's easy for me to share it with my group of influencers or with my affiliates, and we can share it quickly. Like Loopy Case. I don't know if any of you know about the Loopy Case, but so were you a Loopy Case? I mean,
my wife was just telling me about it.
Yeah, like shared it like crazy. She has one right there. And it was because it was so clear and concise what the code was, what you got paid, what the code was, what you got paid, all you had to do. So the contract was easy, the product was easy, they were easy to work with, and you knew the expectation and the results. So
that's perfect. I'm gonna ask Paige one here real fast. So Paige is very picky with her brand, and I love that. I asked her last night even, like, hey, I'm starting this new e-commerce school in Lehigh. Free, come to it, just make a post. And I knew the answer before I asked her. That's not on brand. That's not what my audience wants to hear or see. Tell us about that, your philosophy there, because you do not do a lot of branded content. You're very picky. It has to be for us. You say no more than yes. How do you what's the thought process and when you get approached and why?
I think that if you take on collaborations that are not in line with your brand, it's not going to resonate. In the content I create, I'm just not excited about it. And my followers know who I am. So it's not going to benefit anybody. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to decline money, but I think that if you are passionate about your brand, you know who you are, the money will come in, and you've just got to stay true to who you are because it will not benefit anyone in any way.
I think you're right. I think in the early days, people didn't look for that as much. It was just pay, pay, pay. People were taking. And the people who just take every gig they see, we weed them out. Our system tries to weed them out. There's software out there. You do not want someone who's talking one day about Loopy Case, the next day about this case. It's just, it's no good. It's not happening. It's not going to help your brand. Avoid that. Avoid networks that just have a bunch of people you can go in there and sign up because those are bottom feeders most of the time. The best pages of the world, you're going to have to find. Here's another question. How do I find you? You're not in these networks that, just list a bunch of influencers who are interested in fashion. How does one find you?
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
maybe just through other people, maybe explore feeds. If brands follow a specific influencer and the influencer's talking about me, or see that we comment on each other's stuff, I think just through being creepy, I guess. Like creeping on Instagram.
That's still the best way, though. Getting on Instagram and looking, we're talking a lot about Instagram because it is the major platform here. Getting on there and just looking is still one of the best discovery tools. And DMing is still one of the easiest ways to do it. A lot of you have your email in your handle, right? I mean, it's in her bio. And Google Sheets still is what most companies, when Wooly goes in and talks to a company, guess what they're on? They're running, I can't even remember, Blaine could tell me with Wooly here, but we're talking, at Disney we were on Google Sheets. Fortune 100s are still on Google Sheets running their ambassador programs. It's not the worst thing in the world. So if you don't have a Google Sheet, start getting the Google Sheet. If you need to scale like Bryson has, there is software out there, and a lot of that software helps you determine, if Paige has an engaged audience, maybe has a way for her to talk. Agencies often have a lot of the relationships, unfortunately. I try to tell people to avoid the agencies because I really feel that you need to make that relationship with the people yourself, with the brand, long-term engagements. The agencies can be good if you're Samsung, you have so much money and you need to deploy it, and you're sponsoring the red carpet show at the Grammys. You've got to deploy money fast. Bring in some influencers. That's what that's for. That's what we did. It's not the worst thing in the world. But if you're a brand that wants to do this right, I think you don't have the budget Samsung does, build the relationships directly with these people.
Yeah, if I can just comment
please.
on that. For sure, customers are the best place to start for us. Even though we own some big brands, we're a big company, we still have segments that are really unknown. So when we break into new markets with a new product or a new brand, that's the first place I go, is I just go to Instagram and see who's already using an existing product in that category. So for Sunto, we didn't make anything specific for like hunting and fishing, but we knew that people were using the product there. So we just went to Instagram and found out who was tagging our brand while talking about hunting and fishing. And that was the base that we used to roll out the product and to get product feedback, but also as an ambassador and influencer network.
Excellent. A few questions. There's one about YouTube. Steven, what's your question you want to ask Anna?
Just like price point and like length of time, engagement. How are you guys thinking about it compared to stories, which is a little bit more passive, where YouTube hasn't done as good of a job putting in your face and making you watch it?
Steven runs JK Studios. All those kids that were on Studio C went and now started their own networks. If meet him at lunch, he's got a funny group of people that do media, really funny people. So YouTube is his thing right now. Anyone here qualified to answer that question about YouTube?
You're asking how much are you paying?
Yeah, my sense is that the YouTube influencers kind of have like their brands, and they seem like mega, and the brands that do micro influencers just sort of stay away from YouTube. And then conversely, we're doing something very unique. We're building you an entire show. We're giving you like an hour's worth of content as opposed to like a 2-minute clip. And we're getting a lot of pressure to move our show onto stories, which is a horrible platform.
Right. It's horrible for that, right? Like, and also for like search engine optimization, right? You need to have a place where you're a little more static and that people can keep coming to you. But I keep finding things through Instagram, the swipe up through Instagram. Like the only things I've watched on JK Studios are through an Instagram swipe up, right? And that's because most people that are now going to be followers or what are they called on YouTube? YouTube fans? Subscribers. Are under the age of 21. Right? So most people who actually will subscribe to a YouTube channel are under the age of 21. And if your target audience isn't under 21, then that can't be the metric you follow. You have to be more into the views. So you kind of want to lead people there by showing the clips on Instagram. That's how I would do it, at least. Because that's the money is in the views, not in the subscribers, even though that's what YouTube wants to promote as subscribers.
Okay, switching gear real fast because I love this one from Cody from Vivint. Where are you? All right, favorite brands to follow on social and why? So who's doing this right? What brands do you guys follow?
I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I mean, can we call The Rock a brand?
Yeah, sure.
Because The Rock is the best person on Instagram.
Really?
For all intents and purposes, he should not be. He is not a female. He's not like wearing bikinis. I mean, he's shirtless sometimes, and that really works for a lot of us. But for all reasons, he should not be as successful as he is. But he is so engaging. He has such a system. If you don't think there's a strategy, look again. He has a very clear strategy of what he's posting and how often and how when he gets on and the first few people that comment, he responds to. So everyone has it on high alert. His engagement is higher than anybody's. He is by all means the #1 account on Instagram. He's the #5 followers, but for engagement,
He's just off the hook.
off the charts. And that is like, he's so fun to watch because it's very thoughtful, everything he does.
People say he's my doppelganger.
Oh, I was like, hold on. Is that why I'm all excited?
Yeah, it's a little bit hot.
I was gonna say I don't follow any brands on Instagram, so that's a challenge for us as marketers to think through. Like, how do we reach me? We either do it through paid advertising, or it's through making sure that you're reaching the people that I do follow. I follow athletes, I follow folks that I know are out in the mountains, but I don't follow brands.
I think that my favorite brand to follow is Stance. I think that they do a really, really good job at hitting every single vertical, because when you think of Stance first, you think of like athletes, right? But they have like the intimates, and they have children and girls and women, whatever. All of their content, it's very cohesive, but it's really fun. It like shows what type of brand that they are, with hitting every single vertical. And I think that's really, really hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Family, mom,
yeah, and
athlete, everything.
yeah. As far as creators, I just look for people who are stay authentic to who they are,
Yeah.
and are very creative, because it's an oversaturated industry, especially here in Utah.
It's a lot.
So I think those who are actually thinking outside of the box, I think those are going to be the people who are the most successful.
Cool. All right, this is a great question. I don't know who answered it or asked it. It's ambassadors may not have the skills to promote your products. They're not all photographers. I feel like I'm an ambassador, and I don't have those skills. When approached by these ambassadors, how do you empower them? How do you maximize their influence? Do you help them grow? Do you take them to workshops? Do you give them the tools? Do you send them the phone to make better iOS, the newest phone to make better photos? I don't know. What do you guys think there? Because that is true. That is a problem we see, honestly, with Wooly and some of our clients. They try to activate their customers, and it's just underwhelming. And like, how do we help them? And a lot of that is we're trying to bring in client success people to help their customers make better content. But you probably have you see this, it's a real problem, or does it matter? Is the crappy content what actually moves the needle sometimes? That it's very real if it's not Photoshopped.
It's kind of a portfolio, but we do all of the above all the time. We run workshops. We have a lot of people that they win races, and that's why we work with them. And we're just trying to help them like cultivate their own digital audience. And we've actually seen really great success with that. Just taking the time to provide that feedback and help understand what content's working, what we're looking for in content from them. So we've seen a lot of success there, but it's kind of trial and error to get to that point. And then there's a few people that we just say, you know what, that's not your thing, that's okay. Like, we know where your influence is, we know how that impacts the business, so we're not going to try to turn you into something that you're not, because that's also not what our program should be about.
Okay, perfect. Any thoughts on being on the creator side? Has any brand worked with to help develop you, or are you on your own to tell their story?
I think that as a brand, you should know who your consumers are and who your customers are. And I don't think necessarily, unless you're wanting to reuse or repurpose these assets, I don't think it should be an issue. I think that everyone has their own platform, and everyone's platform looks different. But just because someone who has professional photography taken and someone who is just on an iPhone, I don't think that necessarily matters, because their followers are following them for a reason.
Yep.
And so I think that if you know who your customers are, it shouldn't be an issue.
You just came from Enso Rings, or you're still there right now at Enso Rings. they have a pretty high bar for like the content that they want their ambassadors making, right?
Yes.
Is that deliberate, and does it work for them, or do they I almost heard they didn't want the wrong person to make content and tag their brand. Is that true or is that false?
That's false.
Okay.
I would say we were a little bit more picky, but that's changing.
Okay.
Because we are now seeing who our customers are. We look through our tagged photos and who some people wanted to be. They wanted the brand to be a certain way, and it's just not that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming from that, it is so, I could repeat this over and over again, it is so important to know who your customers are.
Okay. I have so many questions. I wish we're out of time. 9th floor, do you want us to go a few more minutes? Is this game enough? Should I take it to the audience? Yes. Do one more. There's like 5. Oh, let me see a good one here. Hold on. Real fast one. I'm going to find any. This is not, I don't want to end on this note, but hashtag. This is from 9th floor, and on page. Is there a hashtag strategy? How do you know which one to use? Do you use them? I don't know. I'm going to find another one.
I'm sorry. I got to jump in.
Go into this one.
Every time I hear someone say, well, I was told not to use hashtags, I think, why? If you are not using hashtags at all, you are just, you're just throwing away an asset. You're just throwing away an opportunity. How you use them are very important. Don't put them in your caption. Put them in a comment. There are all these really good ways. Be careful about hashtag clouds. Be careful about shadow banning. I mean, there are lots of things to do, but especially for larger brands and larger companies, if you are not using a hashtag at all, you're just losing followers, losing money, losing reach.
Okay. I'm going to do one more. Sorry. Here we go. Very good one from Jesse, and I might cap it off with one last. Jesse is the person I told you that actually probably got Wooly started from introducing us to Purple. Where are you?
He's over there.
Oh, way back there. Okay. What about burnout? What's your take on influencers, audience burnout, and like some of these problems where maybe you're overdoing it? Are we just in a peak Instagram moment and everything's going to burn out? So like talk about fears of what the future holds, but also I like what he's talking about, like your opinion on putting links into the content. Jesse does a lot of affiliate stuff at Traeger. How do influencers feel when they're asked to like put a trackable UTM or code into the content? And this, I think all of you guys have opinion here because maybe you guys want to do it or have done it. I've heard people hate it. I've heard that it makes it feel salesy. So let's answer that tracking one real fast. Then I want to just hear any fears you guys have for the future, and we'll end it with like fear.
As far as trackable links, I am really, really bad with this. I am, like Scott said, I'm really picky with my brand, and I don't want to come off like a walking ad. I could be better at it, and I think it's more so just fear of, I don't know, people thinking I'm selling myself short and pretty much being a sellout. Because So I'm probably not the best person to answer this, but I do think it is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. The option should be there.
Yeah, we killed all of our affiliate programs a couple years ago just because it was a total jungle off-brand. And as we've been rebuilding that, it is essentially focused on those micro nano influencers. Those are the ones who have the most interest. If we're looking at like the folks with the bigger reach, we're essentially asking them to just spray out an ad, which they don't want to do. We can reach people another way to do that. But when we're working with the micro influencers, they're being asked by their friends, how do I buy this product? So they're stoked to be able to hook their buddies up, share a code, and get something back in return, and they don't have to actively promote it to make that happen.
I don't know, I put up my napkin slide. This is going to be famous one day in an economics book. It's called The Wooly Curve. I just want to end with this. I had to throw it out there. I did it yesterday. What's funny today is that word of mouth has gone digital. It used to be analog. But somewhere in the last few years, I have no idea because I'm making up the stat, it crossed. And like all of that we're talking about now is like you have to be no longer is the sharing happening at the dinner table. It's still there. It's static, as you can see. It's still even growing because population's going up. But today, it's happening online. When I want to figure out how to get my knee fixed, I went to a Facebook group and asked Heber, and I got 60 doctor recommendations. I did not even go to Google. I definitely didn't go to my dinner table because they don't know. I crowdsourced it on digital. Word of mouth is going digital. This all plays into what we're talking about. Any other fears out there? Any other things? Any other insights? Where are we all headed? Any last notes from anybody, or should we kill it there? 97th floor. Anybody out here have a burning question they cannot not do? Then I'm going to give these away to some people in we give one to Jesse over there as a kickback for making this all happen, and then Cody's the other one. Did you ask? You were with Vivint? Vivint gets one. All right, there we go. What one do you want?